All right, greetings. We're back. All right. Thank you for joining us for tonight's festivities. So this, oh well, our Antarctica Galactic meeting. Apparently, it was a galactic meeting that. Well, we'll see what we can get with that. multi multiverse universe. We'll just leave. Yeah, that came through. We'll just leave that. Basically, the multiverse. Tapping into a different type of energy for that. It's basically it's like connecting to your other version of yourself, multiple versions, and we'll see where that goes. And top one, Pleiadians and Nordics. Um, those are more of the snarky Pleiadians. I mean, tapping into that. They've been showing up recently. I think it's similar to the ones over here yesterday. So, of course, I don't remember what I said yesterday. And those that this is kind of off topic, but like a lot of it. I mean, I do conscious channeling, but there's also I kind of go into a mode where where the being does come through more, and where I have no idea what's going on. So it does happen time to time. So, the Antarctica meetings. So before I go into that, the whole Maxwell thing, the trial that's going on, I guess they rested their case. I don't know. They might give her a light sentence. It's not clear right now. It's all over the place right now. But they're talking about names coming out publicly. Maybe a couple of names here and there, but nothing too. I mean, I don't think they're gonna make that stuff public if it's really, like the little black book. I don't think they're gonna make a lot of stuff public. Is that a surprise? Yeah, it's more of the same. So, and if you look at the islands around Antarctica, some of these variants we've been going through recently, some of the islands have the same names. How original. So if you look at our Antarctica and the islands around it, they have one called Delta, and I have another one called Omicron or something like that. I guess they're just sitting there in their world takeover meeting. It's like, see that island over there? We'll just call it after, we'll just name it after that. That's the thing. I think some of these galactic meetings are about just naming variants. So this is the other thing about this whole galactic meeting situation. I know people. There's no real. I mean, maybe it is obvious something's going on. Something's always going on, but they have like a tweet. I think some of these tweets are fake. But they say that some of these world people, these world power people, are going to meetings and all that. I don't think that's the case. Another thing I got to be careful on YouTube. I guess they're mess. I guess they're screwing my channel a little bit. It's okay for right now, but they're kind of fucking around with it. So, gee, I wonder why. I try to stay off of some subjects, but you never know. Especially when they go after a video that's like 5 years old, and there's not much you can do there. So they're known to do that. So, so the galactic meeting. Obviously, those are difficult to tap into. I'm going to channel the vibrations of it, see where I get later on, but. Yeah, there is a financial meeting. Obviously, mostly a military energy as there. Military officials, some of the others that are part of our monetary system was possibly there. I know John Kerry he actually I think he tweeted it. I believe it was him doing it, saying he was going to Antarctica, or it was in the news actually. So. But anyone else, I mean, they have these meetings with the UN all over the place. Some of them are in Antarctica, but I don't think all of them are, of course. Some of them are in Russia, India. It goes on and on. So I don't know how they do it, or I don't know if I want to know, but yeah, they're probably doing some galactic Zoom call. But the galactic energies that are here, I can connect to the galactic beings that are assisting us, but I'm not. You know, I don't know. Some feel like the dark is going away and all that, but we've been hearing that for a while now. So, I mean, things are improving slightly, but then again, I don't know if anyone's paying attention to the health news recently, like what's happening in New York City. What they're doing is they are changing timelines with our health crisis. And New York City is, I believe, at one time it will go into more renewable energies eventually, and they might start, of course, I don't know how that's going to work exactly, but rebuild its infrastructure. The plumbing, just more. I mean, whenever they have funds for something like that, just basically cleaner energy altogether. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect down there, but you never know. There's still, you never know. So we're kind of, I don't know. Some feel like the dark is going to go away. Well, I guess that's a wait and see. There is a portal. Was it December 21st? I think there was a portal on that day, but it doesn't mean all dark is going away. Yeah, well, you look at Dr. Fauci and see what he's saying, and you get a different energy there. You get a different timeline. But yeah, this whole thing is shifting timelines, obviously. So, all right, we're going to Antarctica. Galactic meeting. So I'll connect to the energy of it, and at least give you a broad view. It doesn't mean that like the world's going to change tomorrow. The world's going to get better. Biden's just going to start glowing in the dark. Maybe it will glow in the dark. Maybe their meetings are about how can they get him to glow in the dark? Because they can make him do all kinds of other things. I could see him. I'd like to see him do a high wire act. They already got him doing all. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I don't know if it's funny or what. It's tragic and funny at the same time. So it's not worth a watch though. So all right. Yeah, we are definitely getting some disclosure for people that need it when he starts to fail and everything like that. But anyway, all right. Blessings. There we go. Okay, Galactic. Going to Antarctica, Multiverse, and top one. Sorry, blessings. Greetings. We are the Pleiadians of your Antarctica. Those are assisting you. Yes, the idea is to heal your monetary system, but there is a reptilian presence there, as you know, in your Antarctica, mostly in the fourth dimension, because they can connect the energies of the axis of your Earth. And yes, the dimensions there are easier to access for multidimensional beings. They can do it anywhere, but of course, no one's around. So beings can't come and go. It doesn't mean they're seen. Sometimes they can be. It all depends on a person's vibration. You'd be surprised how many beings do appear around in Africa, because it's not exactly, not everybody has the internet, can take a picture very quickly, but beings do come and go there. You're not always seeing them, but people might see them and then they'll disappear and they don't think much of it. Aliens appear and disappear. Usually they're Nordic type of beings. Sometimes they're reptilians, yes, depending on the area. The more third world country, the more the reptilians do show up. It's not just the reptilians, but also the Anunnaki shows up too. for reasons. They don't always know why people are suffering here. I mean, yes, they know from a third dimensional level, but on a galactic level, they don't always know who's causing it. So it doesn't mean it's always going to be reptilians. But there is connections to your UN where there are beings that are keeping themselves very hidden. But Antarctica, it does show when you hear rumors and all that, a lot of this is happening in the fourth dimension. So fourth dimensional knowledge is coming into your reality. So you might not be able to prove it or talk to anyone or get the picture or anything like that. But if it is, even if it's a fake tweet, it's most likely a sign of there is some kind of get together coming on. Their UN is usually involved with it, but it's more of on a galactic scale, meaning the fourth dimensional UN. It's not going to be in your third dimensional. Some might talk about here and there, but it's usually an off topic for the most part. Some might talk about aliens here and there, but they have to be very spiritually connected for the most part. Doesn't mean they see beings, but they have an idea of what's going on. Of course, some of them do have relatives that have people in their families that see beings. So it's a little bit of there's a variety of energies that are out there. So, I mean, as you know, if you're a person in power, the chances of somebody very intuitive is very likely. If you believe what they're saying is another story. But these people want to stay in power, so they're going to connect to intuitive beings as much as possible. And some of you have actually been in those positions where you have been around people of power, at least in the third dimensional power, and giving them advice. That's another reason why some of you can connect to the galactic meetings that are going on, because you've been part of them already in your past lives here. So right now, it doesn't mean that you're elite or fully leaving, unlikely. But there are some regimes that are changing, but not all is over yet. We do feel, now this is in your future, like your restaurant corporations will start to change. Well, eventually they become a more healthier environment, but they're not in a rush for that. They don't really want people healthy, obviously. But more the health consciousness is going to come in eventually. There's a lot of energies around Russia, like what Russia is going to do, but with the Ukraine situation. And Russia is unpredictable. Not that anyone's really afraid of it, but it is causing some difficulties. But it's also showing that when you have a war, basically an ideal war, more galactic beings come to your Earth actually to assist on multiple levels, just to keep that fight. So it doesn't mean there won't be any type of incident here. But there's a lot here to prevent it at this time. Now, why haven't I done it in the past? It's a long story on that. We don't need to go into that at this moment. We're going to your multiverse connections. So there's another being here. So blessings to you. Greetings to you. We are, from another Earth, another version of yourselves. Your Antarctica, is one meeting point of others. The moon is actually busier, but I don't remember seeing any of you there physically. The moon is your main priority for meetings usually, but it's mostly in the fourth dimension. Normally beings who have their meetings on their ships for the most part. As for what's going to happen here on your planet, of course, the timelines are being skewed constantly. There's the archon beings that are trying to control your reality, as you can see. But also bring other versions of yourself here to this reality. Well, politicians are easy to switch out because usually they're all kind of dull and kind of the same. So they get switched out quite often. but it's usually the same vibration, but it is a different type of agenda. So the multiverse energies throughout the earth, more of that become more seen, at least felt within the soul as you shift the realities, as you go more into the higher consciousness, of course. But also you're going to see all these different timelines, and some of them might be false timelines. And this has already been happening, becoming more direct, because people think of your average human seeing cataclysms and really feeling it, because they're literally going through it as they see it. And think about that on a global scale when more people are feeling these other timelines around them. So it doesn't mean it has to be like that, but it shows these other timelines are working with your Earth. And of course, that's where some of these people are connected to. Also, you're avoiding those realities for the most part. Sometimes it's better to be a dull and boring planet than to have too many events happening at once. A lot of your Earth's energies come from the black hole, come from other universes, basically how to trap a planet. Well, it's basically magic from other realms. And other worlds have warned this. So as you go into your development stage, other worlds will be speaking to you of what worlds are holding your world down. One of them is Mars, but it's not always Mars. Venus has some vibrations there. Sometimes it's there to assist you. It's not necessarily there to block you. Yes, it's kind of a strange environment you have. Many of you coming from those planets, though, of assisting this Earth, as you know. But you bring other versions of yourself, meaning that you think about if you're on a ship and you're in the fourth dimension, you're aware of other versions of yourself, not just on the Earth, but in other dimensions in space. So, when you're an alien species coming close to this Earth, depending on who you are, you see multiple realities. And you see these multiple timelines, because some of you are extremely telepathic or empathic, telepathic also, where you can just see all these different scenarios around the Earth. And it can be quite overwhelming, even if you're in the fourth dimension. Because many beings are born into the fourth dimension. Some feel like the third dimension is always going to be a third dimensional aspect of you, but it doesn't mean you have to actually born into a third dimension reality. I think some of you already know that. But chances are, if you're on a fourth and fifth dimensional world, there is a third dimensional version of you of that planet somewhere. It doesn't mean it's too. It can be significant. It all depends on the situation. But the multiverse of your reality, because your awakening states, especially for some, would be politicians, because you've seen them manipulate other worlds. So it's like healing that trauma. Especially the Hillary Clinton energy. She had a strong presence on Mars. So she was a Martian queen in her past. And of course, she's trying to take over this planet not so well. So there she was groomed for it. Here she's not getting it. So not this is helping anyone, but for Hillary Clinton, think of her like similar to Obama, being groomed for a position. She had that, but she was a female on Mars. I believe blonde, blue hair, something around those lines. So, of course, she's obsessed with politics. She wants that power again. She might say she's helping others, but obviously there's something else going on there. As you know, with all things. But the multiverse vibrations, this is a hidden spark. Well, it's just like a baby incarnating in this Earth. It's like, what version of Earth am I on exactly? Am I on the good version? Oh, all my memories are gone. Never mind. I know where I'm at now. Yeah, it's because some babies are born here. They don't have no idea where they got themselves into sometimes. And then they say, usually they're quiet, and then they realize where they're at, and they start crying. It's like, oh, I remember this place. Or I've heard about this place, but I never thought it'd actually be here. But also, your Archon societies are very organic realities, like plant lives and plant beings that actually have a consciousness. I mean, the plants have a consciousness here, but actually a real active, kind of like a weed plant. Weeds that have consciousness that are always trying to put their weeds around it. That's an Archon reality and through nature. And elaborate trees also. Say what you want about the Archons. They have impressive designs about them. Impressive artwork, art design. Of course, you don't always see it here, but it is quite the sight. Yeah, it's beings that know how to control realities, but also have a flair for artistic abilities. It is appreciated throughout the universe, actually. But it's also saying we defeated that being. And yes, the Archon energy that's here is, of course, everywhere. It's not on all planets, but it is a core of this universe. We say this world was born out of Archon matter, out of its basically trying to figure itself out in an organic way. It has done it in robotic realities, but organic is not new, but something they're still perfecting. So you, the human, as you see, where artificial intelligence coming into your planet, you'll feel more of the consciousness of the origins of where many of them came from, such as a person's watch or a person's television set might just start talking to you, depending on what it's, or your computer. Some of you, your phones and computers are very connected to your vibration. It's almost like having a crystal, but it's a technology. Because you can turn technology into a crystal energy. It might not be that way physically, but it can be on a vibrational level. So there's another way to put your intentions on, especially trying to clear the vibrations of it. Crystallize your phone and other objects. Greetings. We are the Nordics. We are the top ones. Blessings to you. There is much happening in your Iraq. Of course, you're not always aware of it physically, but there's a lot of energies shifting. Basically, timelines in certain countries, especially when there are countries that are deserted, sometimes have the most power over the earth. It's like they set the timeline energy there to work on it. Ways to run scenarios of how your world works. Like what scenarios, what is your consciousness needing? Yes, basically, and this is where the multiverse does come in. It's like you're running these timelines, but they're actually active. What works with your Earth's vibration currently? This is one reason why I don't have flying cars just yet, because the world is so dense with third dimensional energies. Eventually, it will have its flying car, but the Earth has to become happier. It can be more of a fourth dimension, fifth dimension, probably a sixth dimension. But you can still be physical to a certain degree. It doesn't mean you're going to be fully physical as you are not. You'll be physical, but you won't be as dense. You basically be a lighter human. But of course, it all depends on what happens here. For our vibrations, why we are here, and for various different. The UN energy, obviously, you can. We'll put this out there for you. You can take it, leave it, make it part of your reality. But if the UN, United Nations, do like an energy, like in your mind, what does it really look like? Is it a reptilian building? Is it a Pleiadian building? For many of you, it'd probably be a reptilian building. So think of like an agenda of alien energies of consuming an entire building. And some of this is Orion, but not all of it. Some of it's Anunnaki. It's a little bit of a mix of everything. So you've already seen this in New York City. New York City is a perfect place, not just the UN building, the banks also, but the UN building is very powerful because the UN has been your building, and yes, I know it sounds a It was strange, but the UN building, the headquarters, has been seen on other planets and other dimensions. I mean, like you have an alien race that's minding their own business, all of a sudden they feel the vibration of a building on their planet. It's like, first of all, we don't have structures like that here. So it's like the UN is trying to take over other planets. Well, they're trying to create timelines similar to Earth so they can rule over those planets, because they're doing pretty good here, as you can see, because most of your society is not fully aware of what's around you. Yes, trick or treat from the elites, you could say. So some of you have been through these situations yourself. So, I mean, some of you, I believe that you're out there where you can like meditate, connect to the planet you come from, and feel like third dimensional energies coming from this Earth to a more higher dimensional Earth. Doesn't mean it's always trying to take over it, but there are cases where it's happened. And sometimes just why a building would show up on their world, it might show up as like a ghost-like building, which shows that how many beings on that planet is actually incarnated into the UN or some trying to repair it, heal it, or make it worse, whatever it comes to. So, yes, more of awakening in that level of basically seeing reality is so much different than you see it today. Yes, there's new knowledge that has not been brought into your world just yet, because it has to. I mean, it's here as seedling energies, basically not taking too seriously. And that's the other thing. So you have your starseed beings here that have outlandish ideas. So like there's a ship under, was it the pyramids and other type of situations. Some of them are part of like elaborate areas or timelines in astral. Not to say astral has a timeline, but some of them have put like a ship under the pyramids from astral, so they're part of that reality. So that goes with any type of crazy idea out there. That most likely it shows you how aliens. Like some people here are kind of crazy thinking. Nothing wrong with that. But on a galactic level, some of you can take it to a whole nother level of it's not imagine. It might feel like imagination, but it's like a whole nother storybook, as many of you know. And it's precious to you because you can't always access all the information, because many of you might have outlandish galactic ideas, but you're actually connected to your origins. At least the star system that's protecting you brought you here. Origins aren't always going to be completely clear. Well, you can get pieces of it, but getting the clear foundation of it. This universe obviously is not making it easy to tap into. And also, it's good to be interested in that, but there's a lot of other things going on here, as you can see. Well, finding your path, you're clearing what works for you, and not worrying about what others think. The planet is trying to tell you what to think, and that's the Archon system, even in the spiritual groups, because they want to control that. And they're doing a pretty good job, but they can't get a hold of it completely. Because many of you are finding you're more of an individual and you're moving away from any type of control system, which is called a spiritual group. So we do see a renaissance within your spirituality. I believe the coming year, at least the beginning roots of it, and it'll go to another level. Basically, your politicians and your media people can't look the other way anymore, because galactic information is going to have a phenomenon eventually, where it's all just the world can't get enough of it. It's like, what is this alien information? Where's all this coming from? We don't have a timeline of that exactly. Of course, we're not ones to tell you anyway. It's kind of a vital sign of your worst growth. Now, this has been mentioned here and there, but it will happen eventually. Where you can go up to someone and tell them, yes, you're a galactic starseed, you're awakened, and first off, some people be like, so tell us about those aliens. And be part of a conversation eventually. Of course, kids that grow up in school are always going to have a difficulty with that, because school is an Archon base, as you can see. Some schools are improving, but not by much. And that's all done by design to drive your kid insane. But it's also part of their growth that was already agreed upon. Not an easy situation. You'd be surprised, like you have a kid growing up and having people making your life hell, but a lot of those are family members from other lifetimes. It's like, oh, I know that person. I can make their life hell. And that could have been the nicest person ever in other realities. But they're here to teach you a lesson, whatever it might be. It's an agreement, whatever it might be. It doesn't mean you have to learn a lot from it. But if you, it's such as relationships, those don't always have to have a deep meaning. I mean, yes, they might have some healing here and there as you go in, but it's basically just either it's creating that connection or cutting it, whatever it might be. It doesn't always have to have a deep. Well, of course, a relationship are going to have a deep, but not always. Some can be just a companionship, and that's it. That's it. Just hear someone to talk to, someone to make you, keep you company. I mean, yes, there's some growth there, of course, but a lot of times that's all there is to it. So,